Hey everybody, welcome back to Video Esoterica. Got a fun and exciting episode, you guys, this evening because a few days ago, a 60 frame per second widescreen version of Crash Team Racing was released by modders in the PlayStation 1 community. It is a laundry list of names involved in this, so I've left all of the credits in the description below. Darkkaiser first posted this video and the patch on YouTube, so I figured I would check it out because I do consider Crash Team Racing to be one of the best racing games on the PlayStation 1, so having a better, more enhanced version of it's going to be a good thing. Before I get too far involved though, do me a huge favor, down below hit like and subscribe and ring that notification bell, definitely helps us out. And if you feel so inclined and want to support the channel, we got a Patreon link down below as well. But this is not just a simple hack of the game. Apparently almost 80% of the original code for Crash Bandicoot has been completely rewritten to take advantage of what they can do on PlayStation 1 emulation. Now do be aware that I am playing this in Duckstation, and it does require you to raise the CPU overclock to 400%. So this is not something you're going to be accomplishing on real hardware unless you have a massive overclock and the ability to actually overclock real hardware. But Duckstation is an absolutely incredible emulator, and honestly it's a great way to play this game. And if you can't tell already from the footage, not only is this native widescreen with all of the heads-up display moving to the corners like it should versus still being based on a 4:3 aspect ratio, but this game is running rock solid stable at 60 frames per second, which is doubling the original frame rate target of 30 frames per second. This makes the game so much more playable, so much more responsive and fast-paced. It really does feel in Duckstation like an early PlayStation 2 game and not a later stage PlayStation 1 game. And you marry that with the absolutely insane fun that Crash Team Racing brings to you, and you have a recipe for just one of the best times around as far as modding in the PlayStation 1 is concerned in 2024. Because I did a video on this early last year and I stated this is every bit as fun as Mario Kart 64 on Nintendo 64, and having an enhanced version of this game rewritten to take advantage of what we know now in 2024 in PlayStation 1 development is just such a good thing. And again, the widescreen is fun, don't get me wrong, I love the extended viewport, but honestly getting this game running at 60 frames per second is the real massive takeaway from this. All of your drifting, all of your turns, all of the controls, the screen cadence just looks so much better when you double the internal frame rate. It's such a smooth experience now, and that's not to say that the original game was any slouch, it was not, but obviously if we can get 60 frames per second versus 30, why wouldn't we want that? And do be aware that you can just modify this to get the 60 frames per second out and still keep it at the original 4:3 aspect ratio. So if you're not interested in doing 16:9 widescreen, you don't have to. You can just get the doubling of the frame rate and go from there. And in my time capturing this and just playing around with it for fun, all of these modifications are absolutely stable. I saw nothing and experienced nothing in the game that made me think that this was anything other than a retail release of one of the best racing games on PlayStation 1. And that is just a testament to all of the coders and testers on this, buttoning it up and releasing a version that was ready for prime time. Because as much as I love testing work in progress mods, it is fun to be able to showcase something that is just ready to go out of the box. Now do be aware that you do need to set some particular settings in Duckstation to get this to run correctly. They're very easy to find, and I will leave a link to Darkkaiser's original video where he spells out exactly how to do that in the description below. But what you really need to worry about is making sure you up the CPU by 400% and switch a couple toggles around to make sure everything's running. And if you take a look at the Duckstation window in the bottom right hand corner, you can't see it here, but you'll see it when you're running it. You should see 60 frames per second locked. If you see that, you know everything is working perfectly fine. And you need to make sure that you don't enable widescreen support in the actual graphics menu. Just make sure the aspect ratio is 16:9. That's how it's going to present in the manner you see here. And you marry all these enhancements with so many amazing courses and so much fun. Even if you're not a fan of Crash Bandicoot, this is absolutely a must play. And in my opinion, the only way to play this game moving forward is going to be this new reworked version of the game. The courses are insane, everything is fun, it's challenging, it'll beat you up and leave you in the alley for dead, and you're gonna have a fun time the entire time you're playing it. And just getting 60 frames per second out of this engine and out of the gameplay makes such a fundamental difference in how this thing feels. It feels like a brand new remastered version of the game, and basically that's what it really is with all of the new code underneath the engine. And of course you get the same incredible Crash Bandicoot soundtrack and Crash Team Racing soundtrack, so go ahead and listen for 45 seconds and I'll come back and show you more of the enhanced game.
Tiny Squash Beauty Cars!
The soundtrack in Crash Team Racing is just so good, and I have so much nostalgia for this entire franchise. I was growing up, I was a kid when Crash Bandicoot 1 through 3 came out on PlayStation 1, and I had Crash Team Racing as well, so I basically grew up on a diet of Crash Bandicoot and Wumpa Fruit, and I turned out perfectly fine for it. I think at least you tell me down below. And getting this game in its new version kind of feels like rediscovering the game one more time. You could totally sell this as a remastered version and everyone would buy it for like $10-15 and be absolutely happy for the privilege of getting a new version of this game that would run on something that looks like PlayStation 1 hardware. But obviously I'm using Vulkan rendering here, getting a better look out of this. But you can pop over to software mode, still get that same wobbly polygon and pixelated PlayStation 1 work, while still keeping the 16:9 aspect ratio and the 60 frames per second, so you can really mix and match in Duckstation exactly how you want to have this game look. And of course, with extra frames and extra performance, I was able to get the first place, although honestly in Crash Team Racing that's not the hardest thing in the world to do. This is just so good though. It's so fun to see this running at 60 frames per second. Even the confetti coming down and the flag in the background have so much more fluidity to them. And of course this is the full fat Crash Team Racing, so you're going to have all of the different arcade cups, all of the different trial modes, all of the different story, everything that you expect in Crash Team Racing is going to be here. It just runs so much better, and you can even see as these models spin around in 3D when you select your character, the fluidity in the animation and the motion at 60 frames per second really does make the fundamental difference in this. But let's jump into one more lap just so you can watch the screen cadence. Pay attention to the motion, the moves of the camera, the carts, everything going on. You've just never seen Crash Bandicoot run like this in Crash Team Racing. It is such a better version, and that is the main takeaway. And I love that fans in the community do stuff like this. Take a game they know, love, and remember and decide amongst themselves that they can make it better. And again, the link in the description below to the settings video as well as everyone that worked on this is just down in the description. I just love stuff like this. I love PlayStation 1, I grew up on it, a lot of us did, and I still to this day play Crash Team Racing, usually on the MiSTer FPGA side of things. But now with this new patch, I'm definitely going to make the Duckstation my default way to play, because 60 frames per second and a widescreen support with all of the heads-up display moving where it should be is just the best Crash Team Racing you're ever going to play. And don't forget, this game in later areas can be brutal just like Mario Kart. You're going to take an absolute beating, but definitely download this patch, grab your Crash Bandicoot files, mod Crash Team Racing to support all of this, and play it again today. It takes a 10 out of 10 game and makes it an 11 out of 10 in my opinion. But short of that, we are done. Hope you enjoyed the video. Leave me any questions or comments down below, but I'm going to go play more Crash Team Racing. I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.